I'm going to introduce you with all credible leaks regarding the final season of Game of Thrones. There are few confirmed leaks, but we also have Season 8 spoilers in the form of alleged leaked script pages. Elite Daily even reached out to HBO for a comment on the possible script leak, and the network declined to make a statement. The script appears to give away plot points from several episodes from Season 8. There are 4 alleged script pages released. 2 are somewhat close to each other in terms of scene, in that they're both set in King's Landing around the same point in the plot. The other 2 are completely unrelated and seem to come much later. One involves the reveal of a character as a White Walker, the other is a momentary happy ending. These pages appear to be from episodes 3, 5 and 6, the latter of which is the season finale and the last ever episode of Game of Thrones. In the episode, 3 pages from the supposed leak, Tyrion Lannister, Arya Stark, Sansa Stark, Brienne of Tarth and the Hound are racing through a camp that's been overrun with whites. The Hound is driving the wagon, but they have company after the Traki Blood Rider, who's been turned into a White Walker, boards their wagon. Transcript says, the wagon goes careening through the camp, past the rundown tents, the simmering fires and the hordes of the undead. The Hound squints his eyes from the front of the wagon. He can barely see a thing, the snow is falling faster and thicker now more than ever before. The Hound says, he yanks the reins and urges the horses forward, gritting his teeth. The wagon gives a sharp wobble. Tyrion falls back and knocks his head against the wooden railing. Tyrion then says, might I suggest we go a little faster, Clegane? On which the Hound responds with, if you want to die, Lannister, you're bloody welcome to jump off. Brienne then shouts, look out! The Hound leans forward, sees a blue-eyed figure standing in front of the road, then gives the reins a sharp jerk. The wagon goes crashing to the right. Tyrion, Arya, Sansa, Brienne and Pod all topple onto their sides and go knocking into each other. Podrick lifts his head, then single finger and warns the others, saying, we have company. Everyone looks back at the edge of the wagon. We can see a single decayed hand latch onto the wagon. It digs its nails into the wood, then pulls itself up, revealing Kano. The tall Jack Dothraki Blood Rider is no longer himself, the skin on his face is rotten and peeled back. Bits of skeleton poke out of his arms, also decayed. He sets his blue eyes onto our group of heroes and lifts his arak. Meanwhile, the 2 pages said to be from episode 5, which is penultimate episode of the season and traditionally the most action-packed, sees Cersei Lannister and her brother Jaime having a huge argument. From the sound of things, winter has arrived in King's Landing with the Night King and the White Walkers at the gates of the capital. Cersei seems to have Jon Snow locked up in her dungeons, while her sibling pleads with her to listen to reasons and focus on defeating the army of the dead. To make matters worse, it looks like Cersei could burn down the entire city to stop Jon and Dany from taking power. On top of that, it also seems that Cersei may be willing to completely obliterate King's Landing in her bed to get rid of the White Walkers. It says, Cersei pushes past Jaime and towards the throne. He turns on his heel, watches Cersei as she walks up those steps, a crazed look in her eyes. It's all too familiar for Jaime. He asks her, Cersei, what are you talking about? Cersei responds, I'm talking about you, dear brother. You who defended our lecherous little brother. You who murdered our father. You who abandoned me in a time of need and consorted with the enemy. Jaime tries to convince Cersei that her true enemy is the Night King. He says, Daenerys is not your enemy. Jon Snow is not your enemy. The only enemies you have to worry about are outside the city gates right now. Cersei takes her seat at the throne, saying nothing. Jaime inches closer to his sister. His face is contorted in a look of desperate pleading. This has to work. Jaime says, Cersei, you're an intelligent woman. You may be jealous, you may be cruel, but you know how to place your bets. Keeping the only man who can defeat the White Walkers in chains is not a smart bet. Cersei responds with, you would have me release a usurper? Tell me, after that northern fool and his white-haired defeated the Night King, what do you think will happen to me? Jaime answers, you can defeat the Night King on your own. On which Cersei replies with, can't I? Jaime pauses, racking his brain for what this could mean, and then it hits him. Jaime then asks Cersei if she is referring on wildfire. Cersei nods. Jaime asks, are you sure we have enough catapults? On which Cersei responds with, we won't be using catapults. A long, measured moment of silence here. Jaime looks at Qyburn, then to Cersei. He shuts his eyes. His worst fear had been confirmed. Then we have a scene from the streets of King's Landing. Brienne and the Hound are still riding through the streets. The city is in utter chaos. Small folk are running this way and that, some clutching their family's clothes, others taking what goods they can find and stuffing them into their pockets. Brienne glances up. On the horizon, the Red Keep draws closer and closer. Then we are back in the throne room. Jaime starts walking up the steps of the throne. The Mountain watches him closely, breathing heavily from under his helm. Jaime says, you can't do this, Cersei, there must be another way. Cersei replies, there's no other way, the city gates will fall in an hour. Jaime then says, innocent lives are at stake here, 1 million innocent lives. Cersei fidgets in her throne, uncomfortable, and says to her brother, get away from me. Unfortunately, we don't have a following page at the moment, but we can all assume what is going to happen next. Jaime already sacrificed his honor once in order to save hundreds of thousands of innocent lives by killing the Mad King, and has ever since been called the Kingslayer. However, Cersei now intends to do the same. Sure, she would destroy the army of the dead by blowing up King's Landing, but she would also destroy most of the living side. It's also easy to assume that the North at this point either fell or was bypassed, since the Night King is outside the gates of the capital, preparing for the final attack, and all main characters are also present at King's Landing. Jon Snow is in the same dungeons Ned Stark once was imprisoned, Jaime's arguing with Cersei in the throne room, the Hound and Brienne are riding towards the Red Keep. Anyways, let's continue with the leaked page from episode 6. It sees a conversation between Tyrion and Bronn which suggests that both survived the events of season 8. It also hints that Bronn switches side halfway through the season and joins the Mother of Dragons, and that Daenerys stands on the Iron Throne right at the end. Tyrion says, "I hear my brother promised you a castle," on which Bronn replies with, "Oh several times. But now that the old cunt's gotten himself killed, I reckon I'm not going to see neither brick nor mortar of any castle." Tyrion says, "I wouldn't be so sure." Bronn raises an eyebrow and hips his swords to a halt. Bran surprisingly responds with, "Come again?" Tyrion states, "You proved yourself a capable warrior in the War of the Dawn. You helped vanquish the Night King and his armies. You single-handedly took out the Golden Company in generals. The Queen does not forget your service despite past grievances." Bronn replies, "That's one way to put it," on which Tyrion continues with, "Nevertheless, a Lannister always pay his debts." Tyrion leads his swords up to the crest of the hill. Bronn follows behind, stopping next to Tyrion to marvel at the twins, sitting idle and undisturbed in the golden sunlight. Tyrion then says, "Consider the debt paid twice over." Bronn grins. Inside the twins, Tyrion and Bronn cross through the near deserted courtyard. Now, in many cases, we might assume that these are faked, but there's a great deal in their favor as being authentic. First of all, they were leaked from the same site that leaked Season 7 pages in the same manner, which turned out to be real. All the watermarks and blackout lines match the ones we saw on Season 7 leaked pages. There's a possibility that they could be well-done forgeries, and therefore we cannot say for certain they are real until the show airs. This leak also gives alleged information on how many pages there are per script. 1 page equals 1 minute of screen time. Episode 1 has 62 pages, Episode 2 68, Episode 3 71, Episode 4 69, Episode 5 75, and the final episode 83 pages. This is in the line what HBO has said about Season 8 episodes all being longer than previous seasons. More importantly, these alleged script pages are supporting some claims that have been floating around for quite some time as real intel from inside. These claims were not considered credible or provable until these script pages turned up. The claims that are supported by leaked photos and alleged leaked script pages are: King's Landing is nearly destroyed by wildfire and Blue Dragon fire. We know the show is currently building a King's Landing set to do live pyrotechnics. Wildfire's CGI pyro job, or at least it was in Season 6, but Dragonfire is not, at least in Season 7 HBO did live pyro. Some speculated that Dany might turn to fight Cersei after all, but if this alleged script is real, the Night King is preparing to attack the capital and therefore Blue Dragonfire destroying the city makes sense. The script page also shows Jaime learning that Cersei is going to blow up King's Landing with wildfire rather than let it fall, which supports claim from leaked plot that the capital will be nearly destroyed by Blue Dragonfire and by wildfire. These script pages that I introduced you with earlier in the video also support the following claims from the leaked plot: Jaime kills Cersei, the Mountain kills Jaime, the Hound and Brienne kill the Mountain. It's pretty safe to say that Jaime is going to kill his sister once she gives an order to Qyburn to, as the Mad King used to say, burn them all. It's also certain that the Mountain would kill Jaime, while the Hound, with Brienne's help, who are according to leaked script arriving at the Red Keep, would put an end to the Mountain. A long-anticipated duel between the Mountain and the Hound, often referred to by fans as Clegane Bowl, has seemingly been set for the final season. There are a lot more major events in the leaked plot, but only these are currently confirmed by alleged leaked script. Regarding the other Season 8 spoilers, it's also been confirmed that Theon and Yara will reunite sometime in Season 8. The production was filming on a ship set in front of a green screen, which means they're filming scenes set at sea. The big news is that this filming involved both Elfie Allen, an actor that plays Theon, and Gemma Whelan, an actress that portrays Yara. The actors were seen shooting, with men playing Ironborn followers. It's also important to highlight that an actor that portrays Euron Greyjoy nor any other main character was seen on this set except for the two siblings. This means that Theon and Yara will reunite sometime in Season 8, but what we do not know is whether or not will Theon rescue Yara from Euron's captivity, or will Yara perhaps escape herself and reunite with her sibling. We also don't know whether this scene takes place after Yara's been rescued or during the attempted rescue. Daenerys' pregnancy, on the other hand, beside being heavily foreshadowed in the previous season, has also been confirmed in an interview in which Game of Thrones showrunners David and Dan are discussing Daenerys' potential pregnancy with Kit Harington, an actor that portrays Jon Snow. Kit states, "Daenerys says that she cannot have children, and you're like, we'll see about that," on which one of the showrunners laughed. Speaking of major spoilers, huge battle for Winterfell has also been confirmed by a bunch of leaked photos from the Winterfell set in Moneyglass. As we can see, for the final season, the production has made for the very first time an actual battlements and outer walls that were in previous seasons added in with CGI. HBO is also laying down white tarps all over the place in preparation for fake